To engage in election, we developed an election strategy which has three key components. The first component is a pre-election phase, where we did the legal analysis of existing framework relating to elections and made a decision, made a certification whether they are compliant in terms of non-discrimination and human rights standards. The second phase is the election itself, where we monitored the election. And the third phase is the post-election, where we advocated based on the monitoring findings. And today here in Uganda is the presidential and parliamentary elections. As the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, we are monitoring human rights in the context of election. And I am deploying 8 different teams.
On 18th February, OHCHR human rights monitors visited different polling stations to observe compliance to human rights. At the first polling stations, the voting exercise started normally at these places. A new innovation in the 2016 Uganda elections was the introduction of the biometric machine to prevent multiple voting. In the next polling stations, the OHCHR teams observed delays in the distribution of polling materials and ballot papers.
It is so hard to get we came here very early, very soon up to date. We haven't seen anything here.
The boredom was evident as officials waited for voting materials to arrive. Finally, at about midday, polling materials arrive at this polling station for voting to start.
The government of Uganda, 8 a.m. today, disabled access to social media platform, including WhatsApp. This has a human rights implication, and we've raised this with appropriate authorities.
In some occasions, police negotiated with the crowds to cool down. In other cases, police and the military made use of tear gas to disperse the agitated crowds. The delays in distributing electoral materials and ballot papers caused the Electoral Commission to postpone the voting exercise to the following day in Kampala and Wakiso districts at 16 polling stations. On the same day, the 19th February, as voting was taking place in these 16 polling stations, after midday, police stormed the headquarters of the FDC opposition party and arrested 3 leaders, including their presidential candidate. Since then, an intimidatory and heavy armored presence of military and law enforcement personnel was observed in Kampala and other parts of the country during the next days, especially after the announcement of the results of the presidential elections. During those days, the OHCHR office, in coordination with the Geneva OHCHR headquarters, issued 2 press statements about the human rights situation in the days of the elections. One of the statements mentioned the tense post-election situation, reporting at least 2 people killed and unknown number injured. The same statement mentioned heavy military and police forces deployed on the streets of Kampala. It also mentioned the FDC headquarters in Kampala evacuated by police and military with tear gas and live ammunition. The statement reminded the government of Uganda of its obligations under the international human rights law not to unduly restrict freedom of expression and peaceful assembly.
Of great concern to the office is the repeated arrests of the key opposition leader, Dr. Kizza Besigye, who was arrested on several occasions before the elections, on the day of the elections, and almost every day after the elections.
The Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights commits and would want to work with the government of Uganda to promote and protect human rights. We are present and available to support the government of Uganda to fulfill its human rights obligations. And at this juncture, I would want to also call on all parties, both opposition and the government in power, to adhere to the principles of rule of law. I would also want to place on record the support we received from the government of Sweden and the government of Norway. Through their financial support, we were able to carry out a robust election strategy and implement it in the context of elections. And for you viewers who are watching, thank you for watching.